Hey, it's Zane here, and happy Tuesday to you. Hope you're doing well. Today I want to share some thoughts with you. Like I've said recently, I'm in the middle of a book called Outlive, written by Dr. Peter Attia, and it's all about preserving our vitality and health span. And a lot of talk these days about longevity and the longest lived cultures on Earth, and the type of environment that they live in, and what's unique to them, and why it is that they're able to spend a lot of years on this planet. And it's very, very fascinating to understand. But for me, one of the real driving forces for me is to preserve health span, vitality and quality of years, not just longevity for the sake of number of years. And if that's a message that resonates with you, then I just want to spend a few minutes here just outlining four key pillars in the most potent longevity drug that exists, according to Dr. Attia, and that is exercise. Now, a lot of people simply don't exercise enough, or they do the wrong type of exercise, and they wonder why they're still out of shape. Their fitness is not where it should be. They're overweight, or they're suffering from cardiovascular issues, and these kinds of things really start to accelerate as we get into our middle years. Now, I just turned 51 very recently, and for me, I pay really close attention to my weekly exercise routine, and I have very much a cross-training approach to how I do it, because I understand that there are multiple facets to maintaining a healthy physical body, and so everything that I do is certainly not one-dimensional. A lot of people, they only focus on one dimension when it comes to their approach to physical exercise and their workout routine. So I just want to share with you real quick the four key pillars of movement if you really want to optimize your physical health. And it's something that we really should be focused on, as I say, particularly as we get into our middle stages of life, because once we get into our 50s, 60s, and even 70s and beyond, if we're not doing things to preserve our cardiovascular fitness and our muscle mass and our agility and our mobility, flexibility and strength, we're going to pay the price in what Peter Attia refers to as the marginal decade. And the marginal decade is the last decade of life where most people, they're pretty much just existing in a gradual state of decline and really not experiencing any significant quality of life. And it's not something that I want for myself, and but sadly a lot of people are in the boat where they're heading down that path, and most people won't be able to rescue it until it's too late. So we have an opportunity in our 40s, 50s, and even 60s, to prolong our health span, and it's the things we do on a daily basis that really are going to set us up, to continue to experience quality of life as we age. And a lot of that gets down to, of course, diet plays a role, of course, our environment, and making sure that we're not in a stressful situation. We control our stress levels. Our relationships are important. Of course, there's a holistic approach to all of this. However, the one area where so many people go wrong is with their approach to their physical body and maintaining and preserving that. So when it comes to movement, when it comes to exercise, there are four key pillars, and Peter Attia talks about this quite extensively. Number one is strength training. Number two is VO2 max, which is maximum oxygen output, which I'll explain in a moment. Then we have zone 2 training, and then we have stability training, so balance, the exercises that elevate and promote and increase our ability to maintain agility and balance. So firstly, strength training. Most people don't do enough, and it's very easy in our early stages in life, and our teens and 20s even, when we have testosterone if you're a male flowing through the body, and we're able to basically eat what we like, and we've got a lot of energy, we can go to the gym, and then all of a sudden life starts to kick in, and we have other commitments, and we start to put our wellness and our health and our fitness routine on the back burner because there's just other more pressing priorities in life. For ladies, there's a lot of hormonal changes that take place once they're past the child rearing and childbirth years. And so, you and I really need to be paying attention to our routines and how we're adapting and adjusting our approach to it as we get into our 40s, 50s, 60s and beyond. And so with that in mind, it's really important that when it comes to exercise that we schedule our week in the most productive way. And I have very much a cross-training approach to how I schedule my weekly routine. I do something every single day. So essentially I've got at least 7 hours to play with in my week. Quite often it's more like 10 hours that is dedicated towards physical training, but at least 7. So at least 1 hour a day is what I've got to work with. Now, as Dr. Attia speaks about, the most or the priority should be given to strength training. So in other words, half of our allocated amount of time each week should be dedicated towards strength training, resistance training activity. Obviously that encompasses light weights or body weight training. You don't need to have a gym, but it's very helpful to have access to some kind of an online app or something with just a basic, 20 to 30 minute workout routine that you can do at home. And, just a couple of sets of dumbbells is really all you need. But it's really important to start incorporating strength training into your routine. So if you have 30 minutes a day that you're able to dedicate, 3.5 hours a week, then you should be really considering 1.5 hours, so 3 30-minute sessions and over the course of your week dedicated towards resistance training. You can also use exercise bands, which Inga and I use at home. That's another great way to stimulate resistance in the muscles and to activate muscle growth and muscle maintenance and muscle strength and tone. So whatever it is that works for you, the main point I want to get across is that you have to allocate half of your allotment of exercise towards maintaining muscle mass, because once you get into your 30s, studies have shown that we lose anywhere between 8 to 12% per year of our natural muscle mass. And so, by the time you get to 60 and 70, if you're doing nothing to preserve that muscle mass, then you're really setting yourself up for some problems, because muscle really is the organ of longevity, as Dr. Gabrielle Lyon states. And she's a real advocate for the fact that we don't have an obesity or a metabolic crisis. What we have is a crisis of people just losing their muscle. We just don't have people walking around with a strong body composition. And so she talks a lot about muscle-centric medicine, and why we need to stop thinking about things like losing weight, and we need to start thinking more about preserving muscle mass and growing and preserving our strength. So with that mindset, it just helps us to dial into okay, here's my week, here's what it looks like. I'm going to dedicate Monday, Wednesday and Friday to a 30-minute session that is just purely around resistance training. That's how I would suggest that anybody who's starting from scratch starts to think about this. Zone 2 is just basic moderate cardiovascular exercise. You're not really out of breath, you could still have a conversation, but it is nice, steady, consistent level of cardiovascular output for 30 to 45 minutes. The easiest way to get that done is just a nice brisk walk. A little bit of elevation or slight incline in your walk would be great, but definitely incorporating that daily 30 to 45 minute walk into your routine is the easiest way to get zone 2 cardiovascular training and exercise into your daily routine. And number 3 is VO2 max. Now, generally this refers to, people who are right into fitness and athletes and those kinds of things that are training for particular events. But, as Peter Attia talks about, it's not just for athletes. If we want to preserve our stamina and our cardiovascular health and avoid, things like high blood pressure and heart disease, we should be putting our body and our cardiovascular system through a small amount of stress each and every week. And it doesn't have to be over the top. If you just dedicate 30 minutes a week even just to hard cardiovascular output, it could be an intense run, it could be a hike, it could be on a stationary bike, it could be some laps at a pool, but just a level where you're pushing yourself outside your comfort zone in short spurts, so a short space of time. If you can get 30 minutes of that done each week, you're going to be really strengthening your stamina and your heart to the point where heart disease is not going to be something that's a concern to you, particularly if you're doing the right things from a nutrition standpoint. And then the 4th and final pillar is stability. Now, I do mixed modality training where we do not just yoga but Pilates and animal movement and just different forms of mobility training where we're balancing on one leg, we're twisting, we're turning our bodies. And it's been said before that the thing that takes so many people out is not a chronic disease per se, but quite often it can be something as innocuous as taking a fall when they're frail and they have brittle bones and they just don't have any muscular strength. And so if you want to preserve your balance and your agility and your flexibility, it's important just to incorporate some form of mobility training where you're just moving your body in different directions, learning to stand on one leg, twisting, turning, and quite often activities like Pilates and floor Pilates and yoga can get that done because there is a lot of balancing activity, particularly in yoga. So just keep that in mind as well. Just to incorporate a couple of sessions per week. Again, there are apps that you can access and download on your iPhone, so you don't have to join a studio or go to a gym to do this. It's just a commitment that you need to make, and to be attached to the reason you're doing it, which is to preserve your health span and your vitality and your longevity as well. So a little bit longer than I thought today, but I just wanted to share with you those 4 key pillars because they are so important. Most people have no idea about it. Most people are really multidimensional in the amount of exercise that they do and the type that they do. Most people simply don't do enough. And so we need to be really dialed into this thing called movement and doing it in the right way, particularly as we get into our middle years and beyond. That's my message today. Hope you got something from that. Thanks for watching. This is Zane signing out. I'll see you really soon. Bye for now.